not necessarily tribal or regional.
All right, thank you for staying. Welcome to the Dailies on Daybreak. This is where we get to look at the stories on the front pages of our newspapers for today. Now, let's begin with the Daily Trust newspaper. We have the lead story talking about insecurity. It says, Boko Haram, others ambush soldiers, attack 4 states in 6 hours. And then you also have CJTF chair, 4 members killed in Borno, troops foil attack in Niger, 2 killed, 1 injured in Plateau, 7-year-old killed, 19 others abducted in FCT and Katsina. You also will take a look at above the lead story, Yobe flood, 4 dead as 11 communities relocate. You'd find that on page 5. Terrorism, UN bodies NCAA to upscale strict passenger profiling regime. And then also ASU strike. Banks, aviation unions threaten to shut down operations. You also have, beside the pictorial there, Kano bans tricycles operations at night. Olaniyan impeached, Lawal takes oath as new Oyo deputy governor. Woman sues ex-husband for marrying her best friend. You also have the pictorial there showing you an interesting picture there of a 13-year-old Musa Sani, a kid from Borno State who used mud to build a miniature of the state's first flyover at the customs roundabout in Maiduguri. He has been offered 5 million naira scholarship by the Borno State government. Very interesting picture there and inspiring as well for other kids. Now, at the below that pictorial, you would find the story that says airlines bleed as Nigeria's oldest carrier, Aero Contractors, halts operations. NCAA deepens surveillance to avoid undercutting. These are some of the stories on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Now let's get perspectives as we take a look at the papers. We have in the studio our guest reviewer, media director, Justice Pen Alliance, Salmon Salami. He joins us to talk about some of the stories. Thank you for joining us on Daybreak this morning.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Well, let's begin with some economical stories. It looks like the economic crisis that we're dealing with, it just keeps on getting worse. The story about airline operators now suspending operations, Aero Contractors, for instance, and all of that. Are we really matching words with action when it comes to responses of government to this crisis, especially in the aviation sector?
Well, generally, the government has to reset or rethink or strategize. The economic situation is really biting. I keep on telling people, whoever cares to listen, that of all democracies, the first democracy is the democracy of the belly. Nigerians are hungry, very hungry, and a hungry man, they say, it's an angry man. It is so interwoven that if care is not taken, what we do not expect.
What can we do differently? There are others who said, well, this problem is not peculiar to us. It's more like a global crisis that we're dealing with, especially with the Russia-Ukraine war and all that. So
there will always be excuses. Government will always like to tell you that, yes, it is global, it is not peculiar to Nigeria, but the issue is this. What is our response to it? What is our response to this? Has government come up with something that you would rather say that, yes, this is a well thought out policy? Truth be told, there is a disconnect between government and the people of Nigeria. Otherwise, they will have known that we have a big problem in our hands. And that is the truth. And as regards the effect of the economy on the aviation industry, well, it's just visible to the blind and audible to the deaf, and perhaps tangible to the paralytic, that we are in a mess. Aero contractor, the oldest, packing up. Although, like I always say,
suspending operations rather.
You say what?
They said
Suspending operation.
Suspending
for
operation.
now.
Yes, suspending operation.
Yes.
This is a decent way of saying it, because we all know that aviation industry is dollar denominated.
And this is despite the promise to supply aviation fuel at
Jet
about,
A1?
Yes, to the airline operators. I think at about
Well, the
600
good
or
news
500,
about it,
You know, as a
the
follow-up
other
to
time.
that, you know, at the time the aviation workers threatened to go on strike, the government said that they were going to, the National Assembly intervened and they said they were going to sell it to them at about 400 and something at that time. But that agreement didn't fall through.
Exactly. So that's what I'm raising
Exactly.
here. That where that happened. I mean, where did that promise go to? Like, we didn't see it materialize.
What happened to
so
that
it means
promise?
that it looks like there's no commitment.
You see, this is where all animals are equal, but some are more equal. You will still discover that if it comes to aviation and quite some other things that directly affect the elite, there will always be a solution.
But in this case, it appears that there is no solution, at least at this point. You know, before the aero contractors suspended operations, there has been a lot of disruptions in air travel. People go to the airport and then aircraft will not move because they do not have aviation fuel. So at this point, what do you think can be done? Because it doesn't appear as if much has been done.
Well, you see, like I always tell you, that talk short of missing or losing it. The government needs to reset and rethink. Although Senator Adi Sirika has really been trying, the Honorable Minister for Aviation, he's done a lot. He's particularly concerned about the security and safety of passengers. And in the last 7 years, we should give it to him. We should give it to him. Ditto Captain Musanu, the DG, NCA. These are fine guys who are really committed and they are truly responsible for the well, it's not seamless because once in a while you still have all these disruptions and others. But give it to them. They are more particular about safety. And it's because they do not allow these people to cut corners too. But for how long?
Exactly, because this story said that
for how long?
As this story said that the NCA has said that, has promised to ensure proper monitoring to make sure that these airlines do not undercut. Because as long as they continue to face all of these problems, this crisis festers,
And there's
a likelihood of undercutting.
And that is
Dangerous.
very dangerous. Very, very dangerous. It is a big danger to passengers and God forbid. God forbid.
All right. Well, let's take a look at another story on the front page of Daily Trust. We're hearing that banks, aviation unions are threatening to shut down operations as well. So this is in addition to aero contractors now because of ASU strike, more like a solidarity to the ASU strike and all of that. Others are saying, why don't we treat this whole ASU crisis as a national emergency of some sort? So And then the last time we had the president pleading and asking other well-meaning Nigerians to help in talking to ASU and all that. And, you know, so, I mean, where are we as far as this ASU thing is concerned?
What are the issues? What are the issues? Honestly, it's unfortunate that we seem not to be too much interested in education in this country. And any country that plays with education, I doubt if such a country will hold its own in the Committee of Nations. What exactly are the issues? What are the issues? It has been a lingering problem in the last almost 3 months now. They have been on it almost 3 months. And Igige seems to be magisterial about it. Well, to me and to most Nigerians, the government needs to take a decisive step.
By decisive step, what do you mean? Because if you look at the general economic situation, which is affecting every sector, we just talked about the aviation sector now. In your view, can the government actually meet the demands of ASU at this point?
Well, I think they can. You see, the issue is that we must prioritize education. Education is not cheap.
Yes, but
and
you know,
but
we're at a critical moment in Nigeria. We are confronted with security issues on one hand. We also have, you know, other health matters on the other hand, right? We have several issues that require priority attention right now. So, yes, we agree education is one of them, but to what extent should we press some of these demands, and to what extent should we come to a compromise and understand with government that, okay, for now, we cannot do this or that and the rest of them? Because it's really getting out of hand.
I agree.
I saw a post of a lecturer from the University of Maiduguri who was actually advertising for people who are interested to come to his office and buy some of his books. You know, just showing how uninterested he is now with the whole issue of education. He you know, basically saying that education no longer has value in Nigeria and the rest of them. So when you look at things like that, shouldn't we come to some kind of compromise from both sides?
I agree there's need for compromise. No two ways about that. There's need for compromise, but then don't joke with knowledge. The so-called insecurity in the country, with proper knowledge, we can solve it. Unless we know that human capital is the only thing we have, and we must invest in human capital. That is why I'm saying that with education, proper and robust education, we can solve most of these problems.
But there has to be security, isn't it? There has to be security before there can be education, isn't it?
Look, there can't be, even the so-called insecurity you are talking about, you need knowledge to handle it. You need robust knowledge to handle it. And how can you have illiterates handling security issues?
So would you say that this move by the unions is in the right direction, like shutting down banks?
It can never be. It can never be. It can just never be in the right direction.
So in your view, what should be done at this point?
All the parties involved should come together and have it at the back of their mind that the future of the next generation is at stake.
Well, the president actually mentioned that when he spoke to them recently, when he called on ASU to return to the classroom, and that he said enough is enough, and that they should not toy with the future of Nigerians. And ASU responded to that, saying that enough cannot be enough until the proper thing is done. Now, so this is speeches from two sides, and how do we get out of this?
This thing we are handling, if an eye for an eye, will leave all of us blind.
Exactly.
And is blindness a good thing? There is just the need for all the critical stakeholders, cost stakeholders, ASU, and even the government to appreciate the fact that the future of the next generation is involved. And please do the needful. ASUU should bend over backward.
Right.
There is need for compromise. No two ways about that. There is need for compromise. But even at that, government should prioritize education.
All right. There's this story, in fact, the lead story of the Daily Trust. Boko Haram, others, ambush soldiers, attack 4 states in 6 hours. 4 states of Borno, there's Plateau involved, there's Katsina. I mean, in 6 hours. How did that, what do you say to that? Including the FCT.
Honestly, I do not know exactly what is going on. But I happen to be close to General Christopher Musa, the commandant of Operation Adinkai. And I know for sure that the Nigerian military, they are doing their best. Do I say incompetent best? No. Not necessarily, but I want to believe that there is conspiracy and sabotage. Why did I say so? Are you saying this ragtag, so-called Boko Haram, they are more armed and they are more sophisticated and they can now just kill the Nigerian army as if you are killing fowls?
You see, as a matter of fact, this particular story says that the attack was done by, there was Boko Haram carrying out attacks on one hand, there was Ansaru on another hand, there were bandits on another hand. So it's not just Boko Haram right now.
Honestly, there is need for the Nigerian security apparatus to, we have to do things differently. There is need to do things differently. You have to rethink and perhaps think outside the box, because their best seems not to be good enough.
All right, now let's move on to the next paper. Let's take a look at the This Day newspaper. Quite a number of stories there. Politically, one of the most recent stories that has dominated conversations is the Osun governorship election. Now, on the This Day newspaper, it leads with the story that says winners and losers, how they shaped Osun governorship poll. You'd see pictures of the winners and also the losers there on the front page across the 2 major political parties, the PDP and the APC. There you would also find above the lead story, 7 takeaways from Osun gubernatorial election. If you want to have a glimpse or an idea of what that is all about, you can pick a copy. One of them is the issue of the beavers, the power of the beavers. That's what is pointed out there. Now, the next one, Tinubu Adeboye meet over Muslim ticket. You also have NNPC transition. Group CFO expected to intensify internal checks and control. 2023, INEC in talks with CBN over election material storage, says Okoye. So that's that for this day, this morning. Let's get your perspectives on the Osun governorship election that was just concluded. What are your takeaways from that, and with regards to the outcome?
The triumph of the power of the masses. It clearly shows now that the real power resides in the people. And let's give it to INEC. From the conduct of INEC and from the off-season elections, because there is a difference between general election and off-season election. These are just a one-off thing. But even at that, you must concede to INEC that INEC has come of age and INEC is doing well. Mm-hmm. As regards what happened to our brother Oyetola and Senator Ademola Adeleke, They have been together for quite some time, and it's like husband and wife. You know, even the last election, the margin was just about 400, and it was as a result of the runoff with the help of Omishori, who is now the national secretary of the APC. You see, the thing is there. The thing is this. Essentially, politics is a game of numbers, and inclusive politics is what can give you victory. A situation whereby they feel or they felt that Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola can as well go to hell, is not needed, and to the extent that he was not even invited at the grand rally.
Well, he wasn't invited, or he just didn't show up?
He was not invited. Funke Egbemode came up. The Commissioner for Information said he was not on our guest list. And he too, to me, I don't think that it is neither here nor there.
So in that respect, would you say that the current chairman of the APC is really managing the party well enough in terms of inclusivity that you just pointed out?
Oh, well, Senator...
Looking at the internal...
Senator Abdullahi Adamu is an old ox, and he is on top of the game. He has been in politics for quite some time, and he understands the terrain. He understands the politics, and...
but under his watch, the party seems to be falling apart.
No, you see, you can't have it all. You can't have it all. And managing people is not as easy as you think. I do not want to speak for Abdullah Adamu. I'm not his spokesperson. But I want to believe that Abdullah Adamu is capable of holding the party.
Will you say that it was the Rauf Aregbesola's factor alone that led to the defeat of Governor Oyetola in Osun State?
No, I don't think so. It cannot be.
There
are so many other factors.
Okay.
There are so many other factors. And, you know, Osun people were saying that in the last 16 months, civil servants were saying in the last 16 months he has not been paying pensions, and two, that it's imperial.
On that pension issue, some persons said that it was an inherited baggage. They said that he came into power and met that pension issue on ground.
It's true, he did. But the truth still remains that government is on a continuum. Yes, worse and all. When you come to government, all the positive side, you inherit it. All the negative side, you manage it intelligently, in such a manner that it will not become an albatross. You see, Rauf Aregbesola's factor in Osun politics, whether you like it or not, looms large. It looms large. A situation whereby you remember that Rauf Aregbesola initially did not want Oyetola to be the candidate. His choice was Moshood Adeoti, who was the secretary to the government, and we all know how Oyetola emerged.
But I'm wondering, how did that even get to that point? Because, I mean, we know that Oyetola was chief of staff to Rauf.
Chief of staff, yes.
Aregbesola. So what happened?
You see, I always say that in politics, there are so many things that you may never know. And one thing is certain. If you are leaving this seat now, you have an idea of who you want to sit down. And you will scheme it in such a manner that the person you want to sit down on this seat is the person. If, unfortunately, another person sits there and you are still not comfortable, or you feel that the person will not do what you think he should do. For example.
So are you saying that from the onset, Rauf Aregbesola never wanted Oyetola to be the governor?
Even in the first time?
Yeah, he never. Of course. But
there are those who
he is an imposition.
There are those who are saying that they fell out because the Adeboyega Oyetola came in and then changed certain policies,
Yes,
of the previous government.
Even
that of,
before
Ralph
coming in, I'm giving you this for free, that Agbeshola, he wanted justice. You know this so-called zoning thing. You micro-zone at times in the states.
Does Aregbeshola's relationship with Tinubu has anything to do with this?
It has everything to do with it. It has everything to do with it. If you are the enemy of my friend, you are my enemy. It has everything to do with it. And I do not, Ralph Aregbeshola too did one of the things that I didn't expect that he would do. When you are digging a pit, don't let it be too deep.
All right. Now, on the other side, the PDP also had its own, internal wranglings in the state. However, that did not, affected them in such a great way the way it did for the APC. There were factions, In fact, Dele Adeleke, one of the brothers to the governor-elect now, Ademola Adeleke, was also in a different faction from that of his brother. So, again, what are the other factors, aside this? We are talking of heavyweights, and you are talking of a dynasty. The Adeleke family is a dynasty. Don't forget that their father was a senator. Not only that, he was a senator married to an Igbo woman. And don't forget that late Isiaka Adeleke, he was the first civilian governor since during SDP and NRC, was a very, very formidable politician. And they can match you money for money, especially their brother, who is a business mogul, Deji Adeleke of Pacific.
So are you saying money played a role in the emergence of?
Money will always play a role in politics. Money will always play a role in politics. But excessive monetization of politics that has given rise to so many children, like vote buying, using violence and getting people to disrupt elections, electoral violence. Thank God that one is becoming unfashionable now. But vote buying is a problem.
But there was something that was prominent in the Osun election. On the streets prior to the election, you heard people on the streets talking, chanting Adeleke, chanting Oyetola. There was very little about APC, PDP.
Yes, you see.
So was it about the individuals this time?
We are getting to a situation whereby people will vote for candidates and not necessarily the party. Look at when you hear Obi 5 times before you hear Labour Party. They will Peter Obi. They will mention Peter Obi more than 5 times before they mention Labour Party, and it's unhelpful because you will not see Peter Obi on the ballot. What you will see is Labour Party. So it boils down to what I call that the need for voter education.
Especially if we look at the Osun election, where we had about 18% rejected votes.
Voter education.
From that
this
election.
Is where we call on INEC to do more on voter education. But even like that, the beneficiary of all these things is the political parties. The political parties should too do the needful.
All right. Well, on the average, or I would say on the whole, the Osun election is appraised to be one of the best by observers, that were in that election. But again, we've heard that the APC said that they are reviewing the results and all of that. The Punch is leading with a story that says Adeleke's camp worries over litigation, whose PDP faction. So, are we likely to see a litigation and all of that?
The beauty of democracy is this. If you are aggrieved, there is a civil way of handling it. So whoever feels that is not satisfied let them go to the tribunal or to the court. And that is the beauty of democracy. That is the beauty of democracy. It is better to do it that way than to resort to self-help.
But in this case, I mean, he's wooing his party members.
Yeah, you know that, you know what transpired before he even emerged.
So does it mean that maybe he's considering litigation on two fronts? Maybe it could come from the party members or even from the opposition APC?
Yes, it could be from definitely APC.
I mean, from the ruling APC at the moment.
The APC will definitely go to court because it's not in our character to.
No, but they haven't said so. They said results. So
they
haven't said anything.
They have not congratulated him. Chances are
because they are reviewing the results.
Okay, let us wait and see the outcome of the review. Maybe, but if they choose to go to court, I think it is their constitutional right to do that. It's their right. They have the right to do that. But then I think we should learn to accept defeat.
All right. Well, other stories on the front page of the Punch newspaper. We have the story that says FG UN to identify terrorist criminals at airports. You also have Benin Disco challenges BPE, plans UK legal action. Another story there says NLC dares police, says protest notification unnecessary. You also have shanties, shops raised as fire guts Lagos sawmill. Oyo gets new deputy governor. Olaniyan falls impeachment. Fans mourn death of Nollywood actress Ame Onaiga. And then you also have power supply to drop again. TCN alerts Nigerians. Well, let's still stay with the politics in the southwestern part of the country. Here we are. Oyo State is, deputy governor has been impeached. What are your thoughts on that?
There has never been a love lost between Engineer Seyi Makinde and Olaniyan,
his deputy?
Impeached deputy. And you see, deputy governors generally are can be likened to a spare tire. If you say there was no love lost, I mean, that's his deputy. Yeah. How have they worked together till this point? Well, they have managed it before the bubble burst. They have managed it.
So that means they had a relationship until something happened. What happened?
Of course, they must have a relationship. Otherwise, there is no way you will pick him as his deputy in the first instance. But along the line.
So we understand that the deputy governor defected to the All Progressives Congress.
Yes.
Now, if you look at all of this and put this together and add to the issue of the Osun State just concluded election and the flag bearer of the APC and all of that, can we really say that he has a full grip on, the politics in the Southwest?
That who has a full grip?
The Jagaban, the flag bearer of the APC, Bola Tinubu.
You can't say so. If he did, why did they lose Osun? Are you with me? If truly he does have a full grip on the politics of Southwest, how come?
But in a statement issued, they said that what happened in Osun was an oversight, that it should not be used as a yardstick to make any major judgment, as it were.
Well, I will believe that it is not really advisable to use Osun to make a general statement. But it's a pointer to something. And definitely it only means that power resides in the hand of the people. The real power is in the hands of the people. And you must not treat them just anyhow. Be guided. Make sure that you implement what is in your social contract, which I call the manifesto. Go by it. And if there is any reason that you cannot do something, let them know. Let the people know. But by and large, let there be true dividends of democracy.
Now, how do you see this affecting the APC in the 2023 general elections? Some of these grievances, or someone defects to the APC, he's impeached as deputy governor. And I mean, we have the controversy surrounding the primary elections of the APC. There are still people who are still aggrieved, you know, following the outcome of that. The other time it was about 22 senators who were threatening to defect. Now we hear again another more than 100 lawmakers are threatening to defect, and all of that. Now, if you put that together, there are those also, another group, who are still within the APC but have decided that they are going to take the back seat, even though being in the party and all that. So how are all of these things likely to affect the APC in 2023?
You see, like I always say, politics is a game of interest, managing conflicts and intrigues. And there will always be what I call alignment and realignment of political forces. There will always be that. And again, like we all know, that this Muslim ticket controversy thing is part of it. But at the end of the day, let's wait till September, when the campaign will start. Is then we will now know whether the politics will be issue-driven or will be driven by religious sentiments and ethnicity.
All right, before we go, let's take a look at the Nation newspaper. Also has a number of stories there. The lead story talks about 100% pay rise likely for striking varsity teachers. You also have Makinde inaugurates Lawal as deputy governor. Tinubu to present Shetima tomorrow. Gunmen kill soldier, 9 others in Plateau. Imo. And then you also have Nigeria, Netherlands sign pact on food security. And then the next one, federal government silent as marketers hike petrol pump price. So these are some of the stories on the front page of the Nation newspaper. Now, if you see likelihood of a pay rise for striking varsity teachers, is that some kind of reward now, or what? You know, for the strike action.
And is it even practical at a time like this with the economic crunch that everybody is talking about?
Oh my good Lord, and I don't think that we have not there. Is there any hint to this? Because of course they will be happy to have a pay rise, which is part of their demands.
Yes.
But are you sure that in itself and by itself, it will be the end of strike?
Well, that's a question we look forward to finding the answer. But for now, we thank you. We have to end the session at this point. Thank you for joining us on Daybreak and sharing your perspectives on some of these stories. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Stella, thank you very much.
All right. Our guest has been the media director, Justice Pen Alliance, Salmon Salami, and he's been a guest reviewer, giving us perspectives on some of the stories on the front pages of our newspapers. We'll take a short breather, and then when we return, the program will continue. Please stay with us.
Not necessarily tribal or regional.